Hey guys, today I just wanted to walk through how you can deploy a containerized application in a Kubernetes cluster using Azure Kubernetes Service. Here's the GitHub repository and kind of has some step-by-step instructions that you can follow through between setting up the AKS cluster to then test the querying the application once it's or querying your Kubernetes node. I'm just going to kind of walk through some of the steps it takes to do it. Actually, so right now I kind of already got a head start. It takes a little time to build the image, but I'm just going to bring this over. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to create a resource group. When you create a resource group, it makes it really easy to tear everything down afterwards when everything's kind of all contained in its own resource group. So I created one just called demo, and then you want to run this AKS create command tied to your resource group, and you're going to name your Kubernetes cluster. I created this with auto scaling, so it can go between 1 and 5 nodes, and it must sit around 3 nodes. And so when you run that, this usually takes a little bit of time to run, but once you have that run, you're going to want to kind of link those credentials of the AKS cluster to the kube controller command tool. That's how you get those credentials. Next thing you want to do is you're going to create a container registry in Azure Container Registry. Again, it's going to be tied to just using this ACR create and tied to your resource group. I think the one I named for this demo was called this. And then once you have your container registry created, you're going to want to then link that container registry to the cluster you created in the first step. So you can do that just by updating your AKS and attaching the registry that you created. The next thing you want to do is just kind of build the image. So if you clone this repository and then enter it and start running all these commands, you'd be able to work it perfectly because there already is this Docker file inside of this repository that you could use to build. Again, this you use this ACR build, kind of builds it and pushes it directly into the repository. You don't need this command anymore. And then once you have it built in there, the next command you just have to run is just kind of do the deployment and set up the load balancer. Again, these files are in the GitHub repository. I just kind of take a quick look at them. Again, this just kind of goes and just kind of shows the image to use. This does the Kubernetes deployment for it. And then the load balancer here, it kind of takes it all and kind of runs them all in port 80. And so yeah, so next I will just run those last couple commands and then show you guys how everything is up and running. I paste that. So now it's doing the deployment. Cool. Deployment was created. The load balancer is created. So now if I run kube controller get services, you can now see that there is a load balancer here and it has an external IP. So now if we go and take this external IP and just throw this up here, and wait a second. It's going to take a couple seconds sometimes. Oh, and of course it doesn't work this time. Oh, I know what the problem was. Well, just know that when you want to do this, you want to make sure that you have your image pointing to the correct repository. And that's the only the difference being here. But yeah, and that's all you have to do to set that up, and you would just test that IP, and you'd be good to go.